I would like to know, what is your understanding on how often a cash pickup occurs in City Hall?
I don't know off the top. I would have to look at our audit work papers. I don't know off the top of my head how often the cash is picked up.
What is your understanding on how many employees count the cash?
It depends on, I don't have it off the top of my head. Like I said, I would look at the work papers, but each transaction class is going to be different. So it's depending on where they're picking up the cash. You were talking about our main place at the cashiers. I'm not positive at the moment.
Well, you said you established control mechanisms.
No, we obtain an understanding. So if we would come through and we're going to say, okay, what's your cash process for water utilities? How are you receiving the cash receipts? We run through that process. And
Did you personally go through that process?
No, I did not.
Who went through that process?
Our audit team. So we have an entire team that comes out of 4 people.
And you don't have a report with you on that?
No, those are just audit work papers for our planning purposes for what sample size we're going to select.
So on the average, approximately how much does the city receive daily in cash? Do you know that?
I don't know that. Your management probably knows that.
I wanted to hear from the auditors.
Oh, I don't know. I don't know that amount off the top of my head.
I mean, it's easy to ask staff, but I wanted to hear.
And that's not part of the audit. We wouldn't come in and calculate or determine how much cash they collect on a single day. I wouldn't even have that in my work papers, that it wouldn't be part of a audit process.
You wouldn't audit how much daily cash comes in?
No, not the entire amount.
Why wouldn't that be part of the audit?
Well, what we're going to do is, the part of the audit is to give you a opinion on the numbers as of June 30th. So when they say cash.
The opinion on the numbers of which you are supplied by staff.
Yes.
You're not, so when you say that you're also establishing a control.
I did not say I'm establishing a control. I'm obtaining an understanding of the controls you already have in place at the city. So council should set those controls and management should implement them.
So you know nothing about the cash at all?
I don't know your daily cash. What I do know is that we do confirm your cash balance with a third party. We don't go through the actual city. We actually go through a third party, which would be your bank directly, and we obtain a balance as of the cash balance as of 6/30, so that way we know that the amount that we're reporting to you is actually accurate, and we do that through a confirmation.
Okay, so if you're reporting to us the cash that's accurate, I'm going to skip over a couple of my questions. With this much cash that we take in on a daily basis, is it possible to have it always balance out each day? Is it always going to balance?
It should always balance every day.
You don't think you should ever have too much or not enough? It should always be.
What do you mean by balance? When you say balance, I mean that the bank account ties to the GL.
To the amount
and
of
the
billing,
reconcile.
amount of cash received per the bills. So what you're saying is that there's never an overage and there's never a shortage, that the cash always balances.
Cash at the bank or cash at the
Cash
register
here.
or cash?
Cash where you're auditing.
So the cash that I'm auditing is your bank account. So when I do, in order for me to confirm your bank account balance, I will get the third-party confirmation. I do not go through your city. And I do expect that to balance.
So you don't audit
So
our
daily
tally sheet at the end
transactions?
of the day?
No.
You only audit what we deposit
6:30.
to the bank?
At 6:30, that's what we're auditing. At 6:30, where does the city stand?
Do you know, when we talk about the energy, are there dwellings in the city that receive electric utilities but are not billed?
I do not know that. We don't test for that.
You don't test for that?
No, that's not part of the financial audit. You can ask that, and as part of the finance committee, we do meet and we talk about any concerns or things that you want us to look into that's outside the financial audit.
But you understand that energy is dollars. And if we're billing energy, which equates to dollars, those dollars have to be accounted for somewhere, right? So when staff or you are telling me that you're auditing the utility, but you're not auditing the energy, and that energy that equates to dollars, then really how do you know how much we have or we're supposed to have or how much we're short?
Well, that's going to be based on the transactions that are happening and being posted in your general ledger, which we look at that and we look at your bills and we're looking how those are being charged, but we don't look at all of it in its entirety. We would do a sample of bills and we would tie those out and then look at and this whole point of it is for your balances being reported at 6:30.
So you can't tell me by looking at the city's ledger, and I'm only going to use just two things as an example, i.e., when the chamber wasn't paying utility, they were being billed, there was a bill, but there was no payment. And so you can't tell me how many of those that are in existence. You can't tell me by your audit?
I can't tell you that specifically, but what we do look at is that would be what we consider a water receivable. So you would have your receivable bill, and how we confirm that is we would get your actual listing from the system by customer, and we look at the balance to make sure your detailed transaction actually supports that receivable that you're reporting on the financial statements.
But you
so
don't
there's a
have
listing. I don't look at individuals. I don't go make sure that, these are who's paid and who's not paid. I'm looking at that you're actually recording those amounts, and if they're a receivable that's outstanding, then that is properly shown in your financial statement. So you would,
And where
that
are
would be
these,
your water receivable in your utilities fund.
so where are these shortages where there's billings but no money? Where would that be in your audit? Where would that line item be? Where would it show that difference?
I guess I'm not understanding what you're talking about. So
In
you
other
have a
words,
shortage.
that's a loss of income, right? That would be a loss of income to the city.
Mm-hmm.
We're billing, but we're not getting the money, so therefore, there should be a
It's
loss,
just,
right?
it's called a receivable. No, it's still owed to you. If they built it, that means that they were charged
But
for
what
it.
my point is if they didn't bill it, it was used but not billed. How do we know that?
I don't know that.
Do you have on your financial report, and do you examine, or even at least partially, the dollar amount billed to electric utility customers as it relates to kilowatt hours used by those customers? In other words, do you examine if a customer's bill is the correct dollar amount versus the exact amount of energy used? Could there be an overage or an underage? Are the consumers being billed for exactly what they're using?
We do a sample, and if one of our bills actually showed that, then yes, we would be able to notify you on that. But I don't have any tests that show me that you.
No test.
So what I'm saying is we do a
But this
sample
is
of
what we
those
should
water
be-
bills.
The point is that we've been told that the audit, that these auditors are basically forensic auditors or quasi, and they're going to tell us the answers to these.
No, that's not what we're doing.
Let me
We're
finish
doing a
with my
financial
questions.
audit.
Can you tell me how many megawatt hours in total were purchased by the utility from Edison over the last
No,
year?
No.
We don't have that number? How
No.
much the city bought?
No,
from
because what
Edison?
I'm providing to you is a financial audit. So those are just going to be the balances at 6:30. All the cash, all the asset balances, all the liabilities, that's what you are requesting on a financial audit. Not to say that we can't do any of those things, but those would be outside the financial audit.
Is your company or are you certified in financial forensics by the American Institute of
No.
Certified Public?
We're not a forensic
None
audit
of you
firm.
Okay. Are you a certified fraud examiner?
No,
Neither is your company?
no.
Okay. I don't have any more questions. Thanks.